The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody, WFO Radio. We are back. I'm Joe Castello, and we're getting ready for the PlayNHRA Virginia Nationals, Richmond, Virginia, the first two-day pro event in NHRA history that I know of. We're going to have 3 qualifying sessions on Saturday. It's going to be wild. It's going to be fun. It's going to be outrageous. You're going to be there. I'm going to be there. It's going to be great. On this show, we have got the Pro Stock winner from the previous race, the Super Grip NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals, the natural Jeg Coughlin Jr. Going to talk about that big final round battle against Greg Anderson and all that went down. We'll look ahead to the 3 qualifying sessions at Richmond. It's going to be great. Talk a little pro stock. Also going to have Tony Wilson from the CongruityHR Pro Modified Series. And you're probably wondering, like, hey, Tony, isn't that the guy with the 55 Chevy? And that's absolutely correct. Tony's got that amazing 55 Chevy. Check this thing out. It is an amazing car. It is beautiful. They bill it as the world's fastest 55, and that is just incredible. Tony is going to be joining us on the show as a way to get to know him. We're going to get to know Tony. We're going to try to find out a little bit more about him and what their plans are for this bad 55 is going to be joining us on the show. And, of course, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, going to join us just minutes from now. It's going to go Reinhart, Jeg, Tony's going to join us like around 1:30, and it's going to be great. But first, I'm going to tell you about the people who make it possible. Like, for instance, those of you who have the PowerTube TV app. Did you know that PowerTube TV is now 1 year old on Roku and Apple and Samsung and all these different streaming services? PowerTube TV, another place to watch WFO Radio, and you can watch Clay Millican stuff and a bunch of other great car-related shows on there. Really cool, and happy to be a part of that PowerTube TV crew. Also, our friends at Foggit, available at Summit, available at Amazon, available at Foggit.com. The spray that protects your cylinder surface, the hone of your cylinder, what's happening when you shut off the engine, condensation, sulfuric acid, damage, corrosion. It's got many, many uses, but that is its primary use. Go to Foggit.com to find out more information. Gary Stints Company. Also want to shout out to our great friend at Bernie's. Bernie's Speed Shop, BURNYZZ.com, over 100,000 square feet. They've got classic cars, muscle cars, exotic cars. They do frame-off restorations. They do it all. They sell e-bikes. They're a dealership. And they host our Pre-Gator Nationals Fan Fest. Go to Bernie's.com to find out more and tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. CWT Industries. This is Randy Neal's balance machine company. And if you've got an old balance machine in your shop and it works, it works. Does it work as well as it could? Is it as intuitive as it could be? What kind of training does it take for the user? These are all things that have been improved upon by the folks at CWTindustries.com. Go to their website, check them out. If it rotates, it can be balanced, and I'm happy to put you together with Randy and work it out to upgrade your machine shop. CWTindustries.com. You can always email me, joe@WFOradio.com. Heard a little bit about FTI, performance transmissions and torque converters already, and of course, our great friends at Total Seal Piston Rings. Plus, want to shout out to our friends at Phillips Connect, plus samtech.edu, Frank Hawley's, and my main man, Marvin Rodak, who puts out the best coffee in the world. But right now, we're going to go out to Tucson, Arizona, and the voice of the National Hot Rod Association, Mr. Alan Reinhart. He joins us now, coming in off a weekend of doing nothing.
I wouldn't go that far.
Did nothing. Just nothing.
Didn't travel, but no, I'm spent the week and weekend homeless and working on my house. So yeah, big fun. I can't wait to get back on the road.
What do you mean homeless? Like you were outside of the house? You had to vacate you live in a hotel at home because you were working, doing some sort of work?
No, I wish. No, my lovely home has mold, so I'm dealing with trying to get that removed. And in the meantime, living in a hotel, it's kind of a new experience for me, right? I don't get to stay in hotels that often, so it's kind of neat to wake up and go down for the continental breakfast and not have to make your bed, do that kind of stuff. It's been a real crappy experience, actually.
I can tell by the look on your face. That is a bummer, Alan. It's unfortunate you have to go through that, but at least you got some of those egg folds, right? Everybody loves the egg fold at the continental breakfast at the hotel, one of the great meals in all of America. And those Cinnabons, they're so good. I'm excited, though, to talk a little bit about the PlayNHRA Virginia Nationals. I want to get into the 3 qualifying sessions in a day. We got 2 great guests. We've got Tony Wilson with his bad 55 that I love, and I really wanted to get to know Tony a little bit better and also incentivize other Pro Mod cars to do what he's doing because I love that car so much, and I think everybody does. But also Jeg Coughlin going to join us on the show, so we're going to get to do a deep dive into Pro Stock and Pro Mod before Virginia. But I really want to start out with Flying H Motorsports Park. They had their big divisional race, and from what I understand, based on posts from racers, I know Chris Monahan was there and Warren Evans was there, posts from racers, they paved roads while they were there to make it happen. It was a bit of a growing experience, but they got it in, and this track is well on its way.
Yeah, everything I hear, and I have not personally visited the place. I know you were there while it was under construction, but everything that I have heard about the facility is that the racetrack itself is spectacular. Some of the infrastructure they're still working on, and they have plans to make sure that all of that is up to snuff. Originally the big talk was that was going to be the TPD event coming up now. 2 weeks, I think, was going to be on the 23 calendar. And I think most of the people that were there will tell you they weren't quite ready for that yet. And so that's why they backed that off as far as the national event side of things. But double divisional, again, everybody that I've spoken to said the track itself is spectacular. They've still got some work to do on the infrastructure. They're doing that, but I'm definitely looking forward to my first visit there. And I'm assuming, and this isn't like some kind of sneak inside information, because I'm just assuming that it will be on the schedule in 25.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I hope so. What I can tell you is that, and it was one of our most timely and popular YouTube videos, right? Like, these shows are long form entertainment shows. And so it's kind of like a different deal than a viral 5-minute video, but everybody wanted to see Kurt Johnson lay out his vision. And it had been, laid out, but no asphalt. Like, the asphalt was going in a week after we were there before last year's Kansas race. And to me, that's what's amazing. It's been about a year, right? Since we, right around now is when we go to Topeka, a little before, a little after, maybe a little under a year. They built this thing and they're racing on it in about a year. And so whatever challenges, like, of course, we'd all wish that whatever it was absolutely perfect and ready to go, and everything had been thought out and everything absolutely perfectly and paved and perfect before we get there. But they held the race. Everybody said the track was great, and they got to go from here. They got a little jingle in their pocket now. They had something like 400 cars, and maybe it was more. But I'm proud of those folks, and I'm super excited because it's on the same highway as Arrowhead Stadium. Like, that's the thing. You come out of Kansas City, you pass Arrowhead, where the Chiefs play and where the Royals play, in the same parking lot. You go about 25 more minutes, and you're at Flying H, right on the same highway. So it's a road well-traveled by Kansas City journalists and people, a little past the stadium. I think our chances of getting media go way up because of the location of the facility. Just a guess, but that's my take.
Well, I certainly hope so. And, I was a fan of Heartland Park, Topeka from the first time that we raced there. I really like the place. I like, the sprawling laid out, you're not all crammed in there as we are at some racetracks that just don't have as much land. I like the road course and the kind of, 3-hour tour to get from your pit lane to the staging lanes and then back to everything about Topeka I liked. The biggest problem I feel Topeka had was its location. And, it as silly as it sounds, but it's actually gospel true. It's just big city mentality. The drive from Topeka to Kansas is exactly the same distance as the drive is from Kansas to Topeka. Exactly the same, right? You're going west or you're going east. But if you live in Topeka, going to Kansas City is part of your daily life. You're going to go to Kansas City to go shopping. You're going to go to Kansas City to see a show. You're going to go to Kansas City to see the Royals or to see the Chiefs or to do whatever you're going to do in Kansas City, a bigger metropolitan area than Topeka. But if you live in Kansas City, the mentality is, I'm not driving all the way out to Topeka. That's a long ways. No, that's way too far to go. I'm not going all the way out there. And so it's difficult to get the Kansas City fans to make that trip. And hopefully Flying H is close enough. And as you said, you're passing the one stadium, on the way to Topeka, you pass the NASCAR track, you pass Kansas Speedway. But hopefully it's close enough that the fans will come out and take a look. And I literally deal with the same thing where I live. I live in Tucson, Arizona. It's 100 miles, give or take, from Tucson to Phoenix. I go to Phoenix fairly regularly. There are reasons for me to go to Phoenix. But if I have friends in Phoenix and I'll call them and say, hey, why don't you come out? Oh, I'm not driving all the way down to Tucson. No way. That's way too far for me to drive. It's like, you realize that I drive up there like 3 or 4 times a month, right? Like, well, yeah, but so what? And that mentality is something that is really hard to fight against. And especially where we live now, right? Where do you build a racetrack? Downtown? Of course not. You have to build it far enough away that you're not bothering people with the noise, that you're out away from things so that you don't have neighbor issues. But if it's too far away, people won't make the trip. And things are just so different these days since you've got the whole world right here that, well, geez, I don't feel like driving an hour and a half just to go watch a car race. And it's difficult to get over that. So if Flying H is closer, if it's more convenient, if that means that people from Kansas City will make the trip, then I am all for it. And of course, the other part of, if you build close enough to town that it's not a long drive, then you have shortened the amount of time before town swallows you up. And, that racetrack used to be out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, but now they're building houses across the street, so the racetrack needs to go somewhere else. And it's just, it's kind of a vicious circle, but it's the world we live in these days.
Yeah, it is a vicious circle. It's terrible. I drive 4 hours and 45 minutes to go to the Gator Nationals, but the first time, that was not my decision, right? Like, that was my dad to load the family in, like the Griswolds. We went up there, we went to the Gator Nationals, and we fell in love with it, and we went back each year. We've got some listeners that are driving from Pennsylvania to Richmond. It's like 3 hours and 45 minutes or whatever it is. They love the sport already. The first timer, the journalist, the beat writer, the TV station, it's going to be a different experience for them. The track looks beautiful. The tower looks beautiful, not fully completed. I got some photos from the inside, and but they got it in. So congratulations to Flying H. And there was racing in Beach Bend, and there was racing all over the place. Galat Motorsports Park. So we're not going to go into all the results for the divisional action. Instead, let's talk to a 5-time Pro Stock World Champion. How about that, Alan?
Oh, if we have to.
We have to. Let's bring him on right now. They call him the Natural, Jeg Coughlin Jr. What's up, Jeggy? Welcome back. How are you?
Hey, good. Great to be here, as always.
Get in the middle, man. Get in the middle. You got to figure it out. You got to get in the middle. It's IQ test.
What do we got?
You're a little off the edge there. Like, there you go. There, better. Perfect. See?
Jeggy, where are you?
I am at home in Dublin, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Sitting in my bedroom, just kind of chilling after a long, extremely hot, steamy weekend in St. Louis.
Oh, you were down there for that. Okay.
Yep.
I got the Gary Stinnett report. What's the Jeg Coughlin report?
Well, Jeg Coughlin report is we were there. We made a ton of runs and, had a great weekend. I made 37 runs in 4 days in my Chevy 2. Got to the money round in every race, every day, but fell short right there the ladder round in 3 or 4 attempts. So nothing to complain about, nothing to I was excited for the weekend. I drove pretty well. Car ran good, not as good as I kind of was looking for, but sometimes you got to adapt and try and overcome. And that's what we did for the weekend. Samantha was running her dragster as well. Won a I think she made close to 27 runs as well, turning the win light on several times. So as a family, we had a great weekend, and looks like we're going to fast forward to Virginia Motorsports Park and feel that same love of Mother Nature.
Yeah, get ready, right? Yeah, this buddy for real, man. Dude's for real, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's got a cool nickname. That's really what it's about. You get yourself a cool nickname like the Natural, you're going to go very far. All right, so let's kick it back to the Super Grip Thunder Valley Nationals. You're strong throughout, and you were able to convert. Let's walk through that event before we turn to Richmond and the I believe it's the historic Heat Dome that we may or may not experience. But other than winning the race, bring us through eliminations. You and Jerry Don, right, started the day, and I believe we made you guys the marquee matchup just to, like to see how Jerry Don was going to stand up to Jeg Coughlin. I felt like that was kind of cool. We got to get his face out there a little bit more.
Yeah, no, he's been really hot as of late, making a lot of round wins and some semifinal and final round appearances without question. I had the better car through qualifying. He had hurt a motor, I think, Saturday morning and had to make a transition, got qualified his last and final run. So he was being tested all the way through the whole event, as most of us are most of the time. But great guy. I've really enjoyed getting to know him and race with him. And I know I got to be on good behavior in the other lane when he's next to me. So, because I know what his car is capable of, and I know he can let the clutch out and bang it down through there. So, we had the marquee matchup as put on by the NHRA, and we made the best of it. The Cat's Eye Gold hot rod of mine came out with the nod, naturally, given the fact we know we already won the race, but it felt good to kick off Sunday early morning because we were pushed ahead a couple hours and to get that round win, and that set us up for round two with my nephew Troy Jr. in the famed yellow and black hot rod. And man, I think I was the fastest of the 4 winners from round one. I was the slowest of the 4 winners from round one. So we were first pair out, second round. And, we're probably a little more conservative with the setup, just given the fact that we were the first pair out following the funny cars. And we're, a little bit sluggish on the start, not so much sluggish, just trying to traverse the track properly. The pro stock cars were enjoying the right lane a little bit more than the left. Really the only one to really run, I would say, aggressively down that left lane was Greg Anderson. I think in qualifying Saturday, he was within 100th lane to lane and in the heat of the day. So they've obviously got quite a bit figured out on the trickier track setups and as we were faced with there. So, but at any rate, that second round matchup with Troy was fun. Obviously, we're looking at the ladder Sunday morning, and we're both hoping for a matchup round two. And as it played out, that's the way it went. And I got the jump on him and was in that right lane. He was in the left, and probably had that little bit of an advantage. And performance-wise, due to that fact, and just outpaced him as well down the track. So, that's where kind of my momentum was not being halted. I knew, going into the semifinals, it was going to be a tough road to hoe. We got 6 time in the other lane with Erica, and they were pretty much keeping pace with Greg in eliminations, first and second round, and just caught a fortunate break when they went up and shook in the right lane there in the semis, and we kind of just meandered or moseyed down that left lane. I think I went to 673, and I think Greg went probably, I don't know what he ran in the semis next to Dallas, probably 67, 66, 67, 68, somewhere in there.
You were 72 and he was 65.8 in the
All right. So I'm off in the
it's up on the screen. I might as well get it right. Right.
No, I appreciate that. It's kind of not old news in my case, but I knew, again, we needed this just rabbit out of the hat to pull something off in the final. I mean, he's had us covered by a sizable margin. There's no question. I felt like we could pick the performance up in our car. It was still hot. It was still direct sunlight. Track was really taking a beating, so to speak. But that's what the crew chiefs, work hard for, is to overcome those types of situations and make the best of them. And in my case, was able to kind of come out with another crafty win. And Greg went up in some tire shake as well, and in the right lane, which again shocked the heck out of us. But at the end of the day, that's how it was scripted out, and we were very proud to be the Super Grip Pro Stock champions there at Bristol. Love nothing more than racing on the mountain there. The history there that I recall going there as a kid with my brothers, and seeing the transformation that from the Carriers to the Bruton Smith and the SMI group. And it's quite a facility. One of my favorites, without question.
Me too.
It's not a mountain. It's not a mountain, Jag. It's a valley. It's a valley. I got yelled at by fans when I one time said mountain. And
well, let me just.
It's Thunder Valley.
I feel like we're between two mountains in the Thunder Valley. How's that? Yeah, and I don't disagree. But I mean, we've been there, and Saturday night, and it's called for 100% rain on Sunday. And you wake up Sunday morning and you look out the window and you're like, wow, it's not raining. We're like, wow, where is the rain? And you look what I would call the mountain. That's where I'm going with this. I look up right above the spectator stands, and it's literally pouring rain there. And it's poured rain there the entire day. We never got a drop down in the valley on the drag strip. And we're thankful for that. Wasn't my best day there, but that's not the point. What a spot, what a place in history, and very proud to add our name to the winner's circle there again.
Jackie, let's go back to that final round. Obviously, it didn't turn out to be like, the nail-biting race where the fans are all holding their breath until the scoreboard comes on. But you and Greg, when you look at the ladder, announcers go, oh, yeah, this is a matchup we want to see. Fans, like, this is a match. Do you still get that? I mean, for so many years, that was the biggest rivalry. But does that still strike you when you go, okay, here we go again?
Yeah. I mean, come on. It's it's that famed Jegs versus Summit rivalry that, we carried for nearly 2 decades. So, yeah, of course I do. Greg's a amazing competitor, hell of a thrasher as a team owner and a racer. And I've spent a little time with him, not as much as I'd like, honestly, away from the track. We have a lot in common and a lot of great conversation in that vein. But yeah, of course, when it's a game time and it's Greg and Jeg, I can promise you neither one of us are holding back. We're giving it 110%. And, we saw that there in the final. He was going for the gusto. We were trying to shake it up a little bit and do it ourselves. And still one of those races I'll always turn back to and say, I feel like we just kind of got away with that one.
And both of your kids are like scratch golfers or better.
Well, Jeggy definitely is. Yes. Yeah. And Cody is as well. Yeah. I haven't played much with Cody. I played a ton with Jeggy. In fact, Jeggy had I think a collegiate tournament at Irish Creek, I think was the name, right outside Charlotte, where Greg and Cody and family play. And we spent some time walking around that, watching Jeg play there. So that was one of the times away from the track we got to spend some time together. But yeah, what a 2 great families, and in this case, we enjoy the outcome. I think he's still got the nod, though. I mean, I don't know how many times we've raced in our career and how many finals we've raced, but it's always been a knockdown, drag out.
Alan,
Jackie, let's go way back in time. I asked Antron this when he was on a couple of weeks ago. Do you remember your first NHRA win? Not Pro Stock, but your first ever NHRA win?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's ingrained in my mind. Rain delayed, Budweiser. That's a key note there. Budweiser Spring Nationals, Columbus, Ohio, just outside Columbus. Was rain delayed 1 week over Father's Day weekend, 1990. It was kind of my it was actually my first kind of year running for points in the NHRA. I raced a little bit in 89. I was still in college. Raced a couple points meets, a couple national events. And then in 1990, I was kind of going for, a points championship, if you will, and fell short a little bit in the division number 2 and nationally number 4. But that 1990 Budweiser Spring Nationals, I mean, 8-round race, if I remember right, just beautiful, sunny Father's Day on Sunday, and in front of a hometown crowd with a huge fan group coming out of the Jegs house, if you will, coming out of the tower. We had a huge winter circle celebration, and it seems like yesterday, and obviously it's clearly not, based on the gray hair and fortunately a few wallies in between. But it was one of the most memorable moments in time. It's definitely a top 2 or 3 moment in my entire career. Winning that first race, it's hard to put up a championship win, or it's hard to put up win in Indy from the 16th spot. Discounting those 2 very far. Winning a 5-day at Moroso is right up there at the top too. It's a spring fling. So whatever, it's I can go on and on. It's been such a blessed career and a fun career with family and loaded with memories. So, but that first race is near the top.
I love that the Moroso 5-day is taking one of those crown jewels of your personal resume.
Absolutely.
Kind of a relic of history now that big money bracket racing has become so popular and mainstream and it's everywhere. And they've kind of figured out the formula to offer this to people who want to go out there and spend money. But back then, I think it was $110 a day to enter, $5,000 to win, and the entire world showed up.
Yeah, no, it was something special. I learned about the 5-day from my brother John, and he had gone down and driven a couple of folks cars in the late 80s, Steve Cohen's being one of them, and always did very well down there. And he and I bracket raced a lot together, and going down for my first ever 5-day was in 1993. And fortunately, our own Kevin McKenna had given me a full printout from the timing system, which is on the old Oki data style paper that you rip the edges off, and it's all perforated together. So I've got an accordion that was every single first round pairing all the way down to the final round, and it has some notes on it that he made along the way. It was pretty cool, or notes that he had put on there at some point in time. And some of the cast of who's who in bracket racing at the time that we were able to get by was amazing. So that's why I echo the 5-day as being so up in my trophy accolades, if you will. It was very special, still holds a special spot in my heart. And I kind of relived that a little bit in Bristol, to be honest with you, because Super Grip were gracious to give us a one-off special commemorative trophy, and it had a very nice, beautiful cup on the top of it, similar to the Moroso 5-day trophies back in the day. And it holds a beverage just nicely that you can lift up and enjoy your victory out of. And we did just that several times, not only at the top end immediately, but in the winner's circle as well. So, not to bring it back to modern day, but Bristol was a very, very fun weekend for us.
Note to the trophy makers. Alan, let's start talking Richmond.
Yeah, let's talk. Just for the record, for casual fans might not know, that first win in Columbus for Jeg was in Super Gas, and then he went on to win in Super Stock and Comp and everything else. But Richmond, 2-day format for the pros. You're going to have one run Friday morning, and then you're diving straight into the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge. I'm curious about your take. Are you without having experienced it, are you a fan? Are you not a fan? Or are you holding off until you experience it one time before you make that decision?
Yeah, no, I'm not too worried about the format of it. And I don't know if I'm correcting or not. We probably have our first one Saturday morning, right? I think it's a 2-day Saturday, Sunday event for the.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're going to make your first one Saturday morning, then go straight into Too Fast, Too Tasty.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I'm excited about the format. We've had it several times throughout the years, not as planned, but with a rain delay or rain cancellation of a Friday, we've had 2-day races with Saturday, Sundays. So that part I'm not too worried about, but I think a little bit of an asterisk on that is, yes, we're going to go from Q1 straight into Q2, which is also E1 of the Too Fast, Too Tasty. And that's an important race for us. Not only is it Q2 in qualifying, which can be important to get in the show or better yourself in the show, but now you're competing as well, which I love the format, and very thankful to Mission Foods for their efforts there, because it's bringing competition into the Saturday show, and it's giving the fans something they can kind of bet on and look forward to in a kind of a head-to-head competition, if you will, during qualifying. So, we're going to have to come out and run well Q1. That's always our goal. Fortunately, we've got several cars in our arsenal that we should be able to kind of key off of one or two of them before our run Q1, and then go be ready for Q2. So I think the format's going to be fun. I think it's going to, especially with the heat that we're going to be faced with coming up for the weekend, I think it'll be nice for a nice 2-day event to kind of stream through town and then head north to Norwalk.
Have you run on that track surface since they refinished it? I know it's very smooth, and I'm trying to put together when you last ran Pro Stock and if we were going there at the time with the pandemic. I don't recall.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a couple of years since I've been there. So always enjoyed racing at the facility. It brought in a great fan base and a fun fan base at that, I'll be honest with you. But no, the track's always been ultra competitive. I don't know that I don't really recall running in this level of heat and probably humidity that we will this weekend. The naturally aspirated cars, as the Pro Stock cars are, certainly take a little ill to the hot and the wet air. But no worries. We'll put on one heck of a show as a group and hopefully as a team. But no, it's. I recall winning one of the first events at Virginia in Pro Stock, and it was I think in the late 90s, 99 or so, and the fans were, I mean, it was just wild. For some reason, on the return road, waiting for to take pictures after the sportsmen were finishing running up, and we're sitting on the side of the racetrack, and I mean, the fans were just still partying and going nuts. So that I don't know why that memory's stuck in my mind from that. I think it was from 1999. But you fast forward, with Tommy Franklin and family that own and operate the track now, they've done a great job, not only with the facility, but naturally have one of the best surfaces in the country. So looking forward to getting back to it and hopefully, catch a little momentum off Bristol.
Alan, final question for Jake.
Jake, you mentioned that, the forecast is that it's supposed to be kind of hot and sticky down there. Obviously, the crew chiefs have to deal with that, make whatever adjustments they make. What about you? Is there anything you do differently? Do you have a cool suit? Do you approach anything differently? Being inside the car, it's going to be a whole lot warmer, especially if you're going to be sitting in the lanes for any length of time. Sure.
Yeah, not a whole lot different, no. Our suits are pretty unforgiving when mandated to wear a 15-layer Nomex suit. Sparco does a great job with the fabrics and materials, but it's awfully hot. So we'll obviously hydrate a little more with some liquid IVs and naturally with some water, but also probably more of a liquid diet come Sunday, Saturday and Sunday for that matter, just to try and keep the body feeling a little bit more nimble and less opportunity for being bogged down. But the heat shouldn't be an issue as far as the mind goes or the body goes, and we're excited to get there. And again, as the NHRA group, will put on one heck of a show.
Very exciting. Jag, great job as usual. Congratulations on the win out there at Thunder Valley. But let's get it done again in Richmond. Good luck, of course, and thank you for coming on WFO Radio. There was a question in the chat, though, I got to ask, just because, this past weekend. Ken wants to know if you raced Connolly in the bracket race. Did you guys go toe-to-toe out there?
We did not. We were in the lanes a lot together. Davey, is one hell of a bracket racer as well. And so we crossed paths quite a bit in the lanes. Saturday, he injured his motor in his, famed white Chevy 2 wagon. And I wouldn't say I helped him change his motor on Saturday night, but I was in his trailer, kind of handing him stuff and, holding the car in place while he and Randy Falk were slide the motor down into it. So I helped him a little bit. No, he's a great dude. I don't think we went head to head at all, but he made it to the ladder round the last day, and I went out that round before in both of my entries, which kind of stung. But what a race, what a format, and it was fun getting to hang out away from the NHRA stuff for sure.
Excellent. Jag, great job as usual. We'll see you this weekend. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you all.
There he goes.
See you in a couple days.
Coughlin Jr., the natural, with us here on WFO Radio, part of that SCAG super team, Alan. And, when Jag announced the big return, I felt like it was, Elite and Richard and Jag kind of coming back together to finish some unfinished business. And it appears to be happening the way they're clicking off a couple of wins already.
Yeah, they definitely do. Nobody thought it was going to take Jag long to find a winner's circle again and get back in the groove, and it certainly didn't. I should have asked him. I'll have to ask him when I see him in Virginia. I think I might be the only person not named Coughlin to ever race his Chevy 2 wagon. I actually raced it in a bracket race at Indy one time, so that's a neat car. I mean, all it needs is license plates. Yeah,
I love the horn. There's a video out there of him, pushing the horn, going down the racetrack, and I just think that is as cool as it gets. But then again, when you're like Jag and you've got Jags, if you can dream it, you can do it. And they dreamed it and they did it. And it's amazing. Hey, Connolly's is awesome though, too. Like those Chevy 2 wagons. They're very popular. Kenny Underwood had one years ago. I think still does. Amazing cars, bracket cars. Love them.
Yeah, Bobby Bennett built one. Remember the modified project that he was working on? So.
Yeah, Project White Wagon. That was years ago. Whatever happened to that one? Well, speaking of amazing and cool cars, let's speak with our next guest from the CongruityHR Pro Modified Series, presented by Learn EV Plus, who is trying to change the trend. He's got himself a very cool car. He joins us now, Mr. Tony Wilson, owner of the Bad 55. What's up, Tony? Welcome to WFO.
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
I am great.
All good, man. All good.
I know, Alan. I don't know if you know Tony real well. Tony and I communicated for a couple of minutes out there in New England, and I have, I want more cars like this. This thing is amazing. I was a big fan of Charles Carpenter back in the day, and Tony, you're doing it, man. You are bringing the classic body style back.
Yeah. So, people has come to us and said, hey, we would really like to see some of these old cars, and Tim Wallace says, hey, we'll build one. He got with Jerry Bickle, and they made it happen, and it's definitely a fan favorite.
Certainly. Alan,
Tony,
go ahead.
Why a 55? I mean, as opposed to anything else you could do. Did you have, had one when you were a kid? Your dad had one? Did you have some kind of connection there?
So actually, Tim Wallace from Boise, Idaho owns this car, and this was his baby. He helped design the body. We're Nova fans. We had wagons, but Tim decided to build a 55. That was his dream car. So that's what we've got.
Right on.
Do you get a weight break? Like, I know in the Pro Mod rules, there's a weight break for the classic body styles, and I would imagine this one qualifies. You're right in the middle of the field, I feel like. So let's talk about competitiveness and what you got and what you need and, to get this car into the winner's circle.
So right now we have a 75-pound weight break from your base weights, which would be kind of like your 5-star Camaros. We don't have enough runs yet. I don't feel like to tell you if we're where we need to be at. We would like to think that we can get there as we are, but we don't know that that's the case. We're early stages of this car, and we do hope that we can qualify better. We've had a couple races that we didn't qualify for. Gainesville, we go out there the very first race with the car and qualify 8th or 9th, and we're in the middle of the show, first race out with it. So that tells us that the car is capable of doing it, but then we have to learn what this car wants in different conditions. So, all right, cool air in Gainesville, good track, we run good. We're getting into the summer months. We're trying to learn how this car works. Obviously, this body isn't as great as a 69 or a 5-star. So we have to make this car run to the 8th mile. If you look at all of our incrementals, we're fast to the 330, but we're still learning what it's going to take to make this car get down the racetrack. From from our split 3:30 8th mile to the quarter mile mark, we are down. And I think it's just going to be a lot of testing and a lot of time to figure out what it takes to make this body work. But nothing short. It's the people love the car. We love the car. The notoriety from this, the Charles Carpenter era. I mean, I'm from Charlotte. Jeggy was talking about Irish Creek Golf Course. That's 5 minutes from the house. We grew up in the Pro Mod country, and it's cool to have a car that relates to my heroes.
Alan?
Tony, what's your background before you got into Pro Mod? What kind of stuff did you race? I assume you raced something coming up. You didn't just jump into Pro Mod to start.
No, we junior drag raced. We started the junior movement here in the Carolinas. I was 5 years old. We're talking in the early 90s. And then as soon as we moved out of that, I did jump right into a top sportsman car, run IHRA top sportsman for a few years, and then we went heads up racing. So by the time I was 16, 17, we were already entering your local heads up, the big dog shootout at Piedmont Dragway. My background in drag racing is basically all Pro Mod. I've drove Pro Mod cars since before I graduated high school.
That is awesome.
I wonder if Jaggy was still listening. You were 5 years old in the early 90s, and he won his first national event in 1990.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy when you talk to people about, your background and my age. I'm 37. They're like, well, wow, you're 37. You've already done all this. Well, that's kind of how I look at it too. If I decided tomorrow that I was done drag racing, obviously I would like to have won a Wally or won a PDRA Minuteman or something like that. But I've drove the cars. I've been competitive, and just being competitive is good for me. Now, obviously we all want to win, but for me to be able just to go to a racetrack and run a Pro Mod car is a win. And I think that would be a whole nother story for another day, the evolution of Pro Mod and where it's at now compared to where it was at 15 years ago or pre-Alanabi days, ADRL days. The transition has just been incredible over the last several years.
So, Alan, I went down in New England and checked out the Pro Mod category. They do a driver's meeting before each race, and everybody gets together. They've got like a really nice hospitality area with lights. They got plants. It's really nice. It's first class. But they were having like a heart-to-heart meeting, right? And I got to sit in there, and me and Mike Rao from NHRA and just observe. And that's where Tony and I met out there, and everybody was really cool. And we kind of all got on the same page that in what he just said, and in my opinion, that the class is really the best it's ever been right now. Competitiveness, personality wise, part of the big show, fans loving it, and poised for future greatness, like good things coming on the road. I just wanted to catch you up on how Tony and I got together. But Tony, I would love for you to elaborate on that. Like, where do you think CongruityHR Pro Mod is? You've been doing all this other Pro Mod style racing. Now you're running to the quarter mile. You're running in the NHRA. When Stevie Fast came in, he said, oh my God, this is next level. When Lyle came in, he said, this is the pinnacle. What's your take?
I agree with both Stevie and Lyle. This is definitely the pinnacle of Pro Mod racing. It's the pinnacle of drag racing, period. It's very hard to race over here. I'm definitely a true outlaw 8th mile racer. That's what I love to do. But what people don't understand is how much more difficult NHRA Pro Mod racing is from the standpoint that you are going a quarter mile, the standpoint that you are underpowered and you're trying to figure out how to make these cars run underpowered. Where in outlaw racing, you have all the power you need to make it work. And then we have changing track conditions, whether we run behind Pro Stock motorcycle, Legends, alcohol or nitro funny cars. You never know where you're going to run at in the schedule. That's a whole nother feat in itself. But the amount of parts it takes to do this and the team and the time that you have to assemble to make all this work is just unbelievable. It is the hardest racing you can ever do. And if you can do it here, you can do it anywhere.
Alan?
Tony, if I made you the czar, what would you change? Is there something out there that you go, if I am absolutely in charge, this is what we're going to do going forward?
that's a loaded question because I'm a very big advocate on making sure Pro Mod racing lives, even for the local racers. I know you're talking more in the NHRA area of Pro Mod racing, and if that be, I would say that I wish that we were able to maybe find more sponsorships like CongruityHR, and we're very thankful for what they've done for us. We wish there were more of these companies that would come in to maybe make it more accessible for other teams. I know 5 or 6 people that has called me in the last month, said, man, are you liking it over there? Can we come and do it? And I tell them, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. And I just wish that it might be more accessible for some of those guys to at least come and try it. But I also understand that, we want the best there is out there. And you don't want to have 30 cars show up. You want 20 of the best. You don't want 20 of the best and 10 fillers. So I understand making it to where it's not an easy grab to come to. But I do wish that I could see more of our 8th mile guys come over and at least try it and get to feel this. I look forward every Saturday to our autograph session in Nitro Rally. A lot of people don't go to that, but I enjoy the time with the fans, the kids. I got to take my nephew Wyatt with me to the autograph session as he had his junior dragster in Bristol and made runs. So that's fun. I like the crowd interaction, and I'm glad that NHRA and CongruityHR Pro Mod, they work together to give the drivers and our families that time.
I love that. I love that. The autograph sessions, the time with the fans, but that's what you guys, you're earning fans. You're pressing the flesh. You're meeting them. They meet you. You become a hero. Let's root for that guy. The guy with the 55. Let's check him out. That's how you got to do it. It's almost like one fan at a time, if you will. So last race or 2 races ago, the passenger window got sucked right out of your race car. Is that a result of the shape of the 55? You're pushing so much air. What caused that? And how do we prevent it? And since Alan asked about the Czar, I would give these guys 50 more pounds weight break until they start winning and then back them up. You know what I mean? I want to see this 55, a classic body style, win a race. So let's give them a little too much and then pull them back after they start to dominate. That's just me. But what about the aero, Tony?
So the aero, what we figured out in Epping is we are finding things with the car that we're working on with the air itself. It's no secret that we were in the wind tunnel this past weekend with the car, trying to figure out different things. We had a little bit of a crosswind at Epping. We went 246. That's the fastest we've been. And it did suck the side window out and bent the frame. So we were able to fix it, make some repairs to it, and tuck the windows in more behind the A post there where the front window wraps around. But this car is, obviously it's not your real 55 Chevrolet. It's cut down. And we have, and there's a good picture of it. If you look at the front window, this car is big, but actually the front window isn't large. If you sit this car beside of my 63 Corvette, the front window area isn't that big. So any little bit of crosswind or anything, that's what we chalk that up to.
Interesting. No, I'm looking for a photo of the Vet. I got, it's kind of an angle photo. Let's see if I can bring it up like that. You get a good idea of the Vet, but size wise,
yep.
They're similar. Well,
yeah. Yeah. So actually, we took both cars to the wind tunnel, and surprisingly, the Vet was pretty close to what the 55 was from the data that we got. So there's a lot of comparisons. Your overall data numbers are a little skewed with downforce in different areas. There is a lot of work that can be done to the 55 that we're looking at. But I agree with you as far as, help us out. If it means that we have to add 10 or 15, 20 pounds in between a run, let's try to get this thing there, because it's been hard. It's a tough road for us. And we could use some help to get there. And then if we find something, hey, we'll take the penalty. We're okay with that.
Alan,
Tony, have you always been a Pro Charger guy, or have you ever messed with any of the other power adders?
No, honestly, I'm a nitrous guy at heart. If I had the money to do this on my own or with someone that was interested in it, I would much rather be taking a nitrous car to NHRA. I know we only have Ricky over there, but I'm telling you right now, if someone with a nitrous car that would come over and race as hard as Ricky does, you have a shot. And I think the rules are in favor of a nitrous car, but there's just none there. The Pro Charge stuff is new to me. My personal car is a screw-blown Hemi also. I don't know much about that. But as far as nitrous racing, I wish that we were capable of bringing a nitrous car there and racing.
Excellent.
I'm sorry, I just have to. That car right there.
Yep.
I've had since I was in high school, and it had nitrous on it at Tucson Dragway in 1979. When people would walk up in the staging lane, see a nitrous bottle, and run and hide because they thought the thing was going to explode in their face. That's how everybody was so afraid of it. I've been a nitrous guy my whole life.
So let me ask you, was you freezing the bottle or heating the bottle in 79?
I wasn't doing either one. I didn't know anything. I mean, I put the bottle in the seat next to me and opened the valve and went. I didn't know anything about it. But I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, and internal combustion engineering was based in Tucson, Arizona. And Bill Wheatley, who ran the company, was a guy who didn't mind, like a little punk kid that was just very curious and wanted to learn, hanging out in the shop a little bit from time to time. So, yeah, I've been a nitrous guy forever and ever. Yeah,
I'm a nitrous racer, and I do wish that we had a car to take over there and run, because I do feel like that is the combination. It just, Ricky works hard at what he does, and I think there's more there.
Interesting. Well, I know there's a lot of fans. So like we got to have different power adders. You got to have variety. Like that's the thing about the 55, right? Like Pro Mod is somewhere in the back of our minds. We think Scotty Cannon, we think Charles Carpenter, we think about all those different crazy wild body styles that kind of broke from the pro stock mold that of modern OE style cars. And we got to get back to it because it's just so awesome. You can have a 69 Camaro, 68 Camaro. You can have a couple of those out there, but what Chip King is doing, we got to do more of that. Kevin Rivenbark, like 71 Mustang. Exactly. Like there's a lot of fans of those cars, and you're doing a great job. Tony, any final thoughts for the audience? Anything you want to say to everybody out there before we hit the heat in Richmond?
No, just as Jackie said, a lot of water, no Crown and Cokes this week. Look forward to racing in Richmond as we do with the Franklin family many times a year. I'd like to say thanks to Tim Wallace and Wallace Motorsports for this opportunity and our team, and just look forward to going to Richmond and then a little break and then moving on to the countdown.
Yeah, you guys got a countdown. It's going to be great. You're doing a great job out there. Thank you so much for joining us on WFO Radio. Really appreciate it. We'll see you this weekend.
All right. Thank you, guys.
There goes Tony Wilson with us here on WFO Radio. I'm obviously like lobbying heavily for the 55. Like I want more weight break. I want him to what's another 50 pounds, Alan? Give it to him. Lonnie, please.
Sure. Yeah, I'm good for that. If I become the czar, give somebody a weight break for putting a clutch in the car. I think torque converters should be outlawed. And except maybe I think you almost have to have a torque converter maybe in a turbo car, but I really miss when they would rev the things up, pulling into stage, and when they'd be talking to each other with the gas pedal before they stage, and when, there's so much of what used to be the wild outlaw part of Pro Mod. I really miss that. The performance numbers they're putting together is astounding, and the performance, the side-by-side racing is astounding. I miss some of the wild and crazy stuff. Just seems like it's been kind of nuanced out of the category in the last few years.
Yeah. What's that? Paul Lee, get him off there. Get him off there. Paul Lee says, get you off there. The FTI. I'm kidding, obviously, but the torque converter.
He makes clutches.
they make a lot of torque
clutches.
He does make clutches. No, I agree.
That car's got a McLeod clutch in it. Come
on. He does the whole drive line. He does the whole drive line. No, it's exciting. And I love the fact that Tony, the whole class is doing very well, working together to promote itself. And that was my takeaway from the New England Nationals in their meeting, that they've got grievances. Like I saw Justin Elks get up there and kind of say, guys, and hopefully he's okay with me saying this, but guys, let's not sweat the small stuff, was kind of his message. Like, we're in a good position. let's not sweat the small stuff. Like you need 2 more feet in your pit area. Like, let's realize that we're on Fox television and we've got thousands of fans in the grandstands, and we can make this as good as we want to make it if we all pull together. And it was like a leadership moment. I felt like I really liked it. And you got Steven, you got Lyle, and you got all these guys. You got Tony down there. You got so many people who are successful, smart, sharp, and want to be in this world. I'm very excited to see where it goes from here on out. Sammy says same with alcohol, funny car, and of course with the clutch.
I'm with you.
Speaking of which, Matty Gordon.
Yeah, how about Matty Gordon?
Matty Gordon. Again, right? Like it's all happening. All right, let's talk about Play NHRA Virginia Nationals. I'm looking at the entry list. Yes, we've made the point. It's going to be hot. It is what it is, but this is one of those ones that we saved. It's back on the schedule. We had gone there, then we stopped going there, and now we're going back again. I'm very interested to see how we go, because it's going to be hot, but the track is so smooth. I feel like it might act a little cooler than the temperature.
Well, I think so too. And, Virginia is one of the tracks, if I recall correctly, that the specialists have said in the past, well, when this place is 130, it really acts more like 115. And, the texture of the surface of the racetrack and the smoothness has a lot to do with that. You can get away with more heat when you've got a great surface, and they certainly do. It's not going to be raining, so I'm all for that. The people that live down in that part of the country, they understand dealing with heat and humidity is part of life, part of times of the year. I think, and I hope that they're going to, show up and support their track. I'm really looking forward to the 2-day format and see how that is accepted, because, as as well as, and I don't think it's a secret, historically speaking, over the past few years, our biggest day has been Saturday from a crowd standpoint. From the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have more fans that will come out on Saturday than on Friday or Sunday. And I'm very curious with the 2-day format, if the fans now that maybe were coming Friday and Saturday before will do a Saturday, Sunday and come out for eliminations. And I understand the mentality of coming out on Saturday. If you're going to come for just one day or you're going to come for 2 days, on Friday and Saturday, your guy or your gal or your class, you're going to get to see them run twice. It's going to be a little bit more of a laid back atmosphere. You're going to have opportunities to do, like Tony talked about, go to one of those autograph sessions down in the Midway or Nitro Alley stage and take part in some of the other fan events that Sunday there just isn't time for with the quick turnaround. Or it's very possible if your favorite driver gets beat early that they don't stick around. Most of the drivers are not good spectators. If I'm not racing, I'm not staying around to see who wins. I don't care who wins. I didn't win. I'm leaving. And so hopefully with the 2-day format, that we'll get some of those fans that were Friday, Saturday fans to come out and look at a Saturday, Sunday. Time will tell. But I think Thursday, or I think Friday, is going to be a fun day, because the spotlight is going to be on the sportsmen. We're going to be running them up and down the racetrack. And if you are a fan of stock or super stock, or if your neighbor's got a super gas car, if you want, then Friday's their day. And the ticket obviously is going to be considerably cheaper without having, the Mission Series and the Pro Mods and the rest of the stuff out there in their normal format. So I think that's going to be a fun day, certainly for a casual or for a hardcore fan to come out and take a look at the sportsman cars that are going to be in action all day long on Friday.
Yeah, I agree completely. And if you're going to have a 3 qualifying session race, which I am generally against, right? I like 4 if it's applicable, but the racers and the race teams, this is how they wanted to do it when they had their Pro Superstar shootout down there in Bradenton. This is how they elected to do it. And to me, it works. You're going to go 4 rounds on Sunday if you're going to win the race, and hopefully you're planning on winning. You should be able to do 3 on Saturday, and they will all be able to do 3, no problem. But it is bonus for the fans. It's 1 day to the track. It's 1 tank of gas. It's 1 day less day of hotel. It got a lot of benefits in the right circumstance. Like there are markets like Gainesville that we would never want this, right? Because Gainesville's got a massive Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and we want as much as we can. I'm lobbying to expand Gainesville and start on Wednesday, but that's a different story for a different day. I'm excited about it, mostly because it shows flexibility. NHRA is willing to listen to the racers. This is a good idea, we think. Okay, all right, we're going to do it. Boom, it's happening. Like months later, it's happening. NHRA is trying it. We'll see how it goes. If the fans love it, and this is the, the silver bullet, and everybody shows up and we sell out both days, it's amazing. We'll take it in stride and see what happens. All right, some news things. J.R. Todd going to the Smithsonian Institute. Alan, he's going to the Smithsonian. His fire suit, the first African-American, NHRA race winner, is honored by being in the Smithsonian. People are going to be able to see currently JR's fire suit from that win, and he is going there to celebrate the display. I think that's a big deal. Garlett's Swamp Rat 30 is in there, and now JR Todd is in there.
Yeah, Smithsonian is a big deal, period. I don't think that you need to add on to that. Anytime that drag racing or NHRA in particular can be acknowledged, I think that's great. And I'm really looking forward to talking to JR about the experience, being able to go there and be a part of that, be a part of the induction and that kind of thing. That's got to be a pretty special deal.
Yeah. And he in a press release, like obviously the folks at Coletta just sent out a press release, and you'll know that because of the next story I'm about to tell you about. But he had not been. I understand going to Washington, D.C. out of nowhere, just like driving to Topeka when from Kansas City. Like, why should I go to Washington, D.C. to see our nation's capital and the obelisk and the White House and the Capitol building and the Smithsonian's? Why should I do that? Right? Like, who cares? I'm just an American, man, but it's really worth it. And you will love it. It's the kind of thing that once you get there and you're walking on the mall and you're realizing like, oh man, like this is the capital of the greatest country that has ever existed on planet Earth. And it's so meaningful. And for JR, a drag racer, just kind of like with Bill Simpson and the moon lander, like the safety belts, like were built by drag racers. Like there's a certain pride that comes with a drag racer being honored for an accomplishment in the Smithsonian Air and Space. And they're going to do some social media from there, by the way. That's happening on Friday. So check it out. Now, the other thing that I think is kind of cool, this guy throwing out the first pitch at the Tigers game. Look at that. The Tigers, way to go, Detroit Tigers, doing a great job for world champion, Top Fuel world champion, Doug Coletta. I wonder if he made it to the plate. That's the question. I didn't see the pitch. Do you know?
I do not know, but it's almost got to be on social media somewhere. That's one thing that I have always wanted to do. I played a lot of very competitive softball when I was younger. Spent a lot of time running around the bases and doing stuff like that. I have always wanted to throw out a first pitch someplace. Probably never going to get the chance, but I just think it's always been cool when our guys or gals have been invited to come do that. Whether, we're racing in their hometown or, in Doug's particular case, winning the world championship and getting invited out. I think that's awesome. I just think that's a really neat deal.
All right. So I have this is the PlayNHRA Virginia Nationals. So it's a big initiative to make people aware that they can now potentially wager, depending on where they live and the laws of their local community, their state, potentially either play fantasy style games involving NHRA racers or actual wagers involving NHRA racers. This is new and I love it. I love it. Like, I think this makes, I know this is going to sound terrible. We're a real sport, of course, but in the eyes of the mainstream person, this makes us a real sport. NFL, MLB, hockey, Panthers, go Panthers, and NASCAR. You can place a wager, Kyle Larson to win the race. NHRA drag racing. You can place a wager in states, if it's legal, to win a race. And I really believe that once the gambling types realize that there's something else that they could pay attention to, and maybe, you don't have to bet your mortgage. You can bet $5 like it's a horse race. I think that does make it more fun for some people. And for all the years I spent in the grandstands at Miami Hollywood Speedway, seeing that group of people down there, they seem to like it too. This is, and I love the fact that NHRA play NHRA Virginia Nationals, building awareness to this very new element.
Yeah, anybody that thinks gambling on drag racing is new, never went to Maryland back in the day, never went to Englishtown back in the day, never went when, those groups of people that you're talking about are all standing there going.
Right.
And so
A
now
cloud, a
the
cloud
fact
of
that
money hovering above a bunch of people.
now the fact that you can do it, online for real, not just, you betting your buddy, but basically, going against the house, and that you have a chance to win if you honestly believe that, you know what, Erica has always been great at this racetrack, or Greg has always been terrific at this racetrack, or Doug Coletta has won this race 5 times in a row. That looks like a sure bet going in, and you want to get some action on it, that you have a chance to win real money. And you don't have to bet your neighbor or the person sitting next to you in the grandstands, as you said, assuming that it's legal in your state. But you can check it out online. You can try it for fun if you want to do that and see if it's something you like. If you have an aptitude for it, hey, maybe you get into a fantasy league and you try it out for 2 or 3 races. You go, if I'd have been betting for real, I would have made a couple of bucks. Maybe it's time to try it for a couple of bucks and take a chance on winning. So I think it makes NHRA more mainstream, as you mentioned, all the other sports that have legalized gambling and have sports books. A couple of the casinos have done it when we've been out in Vegas the last couple of years, but now the fact that you can do it pretty much everywhere you go. And one thing that I'm going to start paying attention to, and obviously I'm not allowed to play, that's not what I'm saying. But one of the things that I'm going to start paying attention to is some of the prop bets, because I think you could come up with some very interesting, who out-qualifies who, or, who, whatever, who goes farther on Sunday. You could do that. But I think that the opportunity for some prop bets is pretty interesting. And that could even work, across classes, right? I mean, if you consider, will Doug Coletta qualify higher than Austin Prock?
Right. Well,
wouldn't that make for an interesting prop bet?
At 100%. And this is the thing. I look, I don't, there are people who are like, they just like, oh my gosh, gambling, wow. It's just such a mainstream thing. In Europe, it's been so mainstream, and people will realize, you don't, you're not going to gamble your house away. And if you obviously there are places to go if you feel that urge to gamble your entire house on a drag race, don't do it. But there are these prop bets that are so fun. And this conversation, Alan, I think the final rounds are a big opportunity. When they get to the point where in 50 minutes, we're going to see the final round, and we know who the final round is. And they get to the point where it's so streamlined where they can produce some odds for the final round in 50 minutes. And everybody at home who's watching NHRA TV can go, okay, it's Steve Torrence versus Justin Ashley. And Steve got down 3 times and Justin won smoking the tires, and he's got the lane choice and he's got this and that. I'm going to try to win with Steve. That is going to be a game changer. But wouldn't it be great if I had the odds right now for this weekend's action and a new segment on WFO Radio? Wouldn't that be super cool, Alan Reinhart?
That would be awesome, Joe, but I can't see how that could possibly be done. Is the technology even there?
I know you'd think it wouldn't be, except it absolutely is. Here are your opening odds for Top Fuel. And there's a lot of odds. And so I'm not going to give everything because but the favorite for the race at plus 639 is Justin Ashley. Found that to be interesting. Steve Torrence plus 657. And my odds maker friends, it used to be plus 650, but now with computer analytics, they're going down to the dollar. They're going down to the dollar. You bet 100, you're going to win 639 with Justin Ashley. 657, Steve Torrence. 662, Doug Coletta. Sean Langdon climbing up, by the way. 737, Clay Milliken. 827. These are plus. There's no minuses until you get to Pro Stock Motorcycle, which we all know why. And Clay Milliken, 827. Antron Brown, 879. Then a bit of a jump. Tony Stewart, plus 1,000. Brittany Force, plus 1016. How about that? Brittany is a little bit more of a long shot than Tony Stewart. Billy Torrance, 1139. I like that already. Billy can win, man. Billy can win at any moment. He's a winning driver, just looking for the right situation. Sean Reed, plus 1347. Tony Schumacher just won, and the dude is plus 1371, right? The Joe Castello super dark horse pick right there. Tony Schumacher just won a race. Josh Hart, plus 2209. Jasmine Salinas, plus 2532. Dan Mercier plus 58.17. Dan Mercier just went to the semifinals, folks. You bet $100, you won $5,800. What? Lex June plus 78.37 and Cam Ferret plus 78.37. Me personally, I would put them a little bit longer, but that is a different deal. You know what else they've got this week? Head-to-heads, Alan Reinhart. Head-to-heads, Justin Ashley versus Steve Torrence. Pick them. What do you think?
Now, like who goes furthest? That's a prop bet?
Yeah, yes, it says minus 115, Justin Ashley versus Steve Torrence, and I believe it is who goes farther. And if they were to both lose, and by the way, none of this is official, I reserve the right to be wrong, but if they lose the same round, I guess it would be a push.
Justin Ashley and Steve Torrence, huh?
Yeah.
That's
Isn't this fun?
yeah. Can I wait until I see the ladder on Saturday night and then go, okay.
But the odds might be
probably
different
change at that point. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the thing, is if Justin goes out there and is quickest of every run and Steve is smoking the tires, it's going to change. So let's just do the favorites for the other classes, because I got Top Fuel. Where's Funny Car, though? Do I not see Funny Car? I don't know why I don't see Funny Car here, guys. I don't know what the deal is.
Austin Prock is the favorite.
I think that's smart. The favorite in Pro Stock plus 475 is Greg Anderson. Dallas is plus 493. Erica's plus 548. Aaron is plus 786. Jeg just won plus 976. So a $100 bet's going to get you.
That sounds like a good bet.
Yeah. Also, you have quickest ET as a prop in this, but I want to go to Pro Stock Motorcycle Event winner just to show the other side of it. Gage Herrera minus 426, which means you have to put up you have to put $426 up to win 100 if Gage wins the event. Now, if you had done that each of the last 9 races, you'd have won $900. So will the Gage mania continue? That's for you to decide. And it's all available at PlayNHRA. You go click the link. When we put it on the screen, you scan the QR code. I would love to put the link on the screen for all our friends at NHRA, but like WFO sponsorship is available, guys. I think this is going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people, Alan.
I think so too. I think that, and to, not, as you said, bet the mortgage, but I think that you're more interested, you're more involved in something if you have a personal stake at it. And so even if it's just $10, you're certainly going to watch to see if you're $10 well spent, right? If your guy or your gal wins the first round, I'm not tuning out for the second round. I'm going to make darn sure that I'm sitting there watching when it comes up. If I'm still in the semifinals, then you start getting the point right where it's like, now my chance to win is even bigger than it was because I'm halfway there. So I think it's going to be a fun thing for the fans to get more involved. I don't think that anybody's going to like, okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start betting on NHRA and that's going to pay for my Ferrari. Maybe, but I just think that it's going to be a way for people to get involved at a fun level where you've got now a personal stake in the actual outcome.
That's it. And that's what why do you think these football fans, why is the NFL so popular? Because fantasy sports and gambling, the Miami Dolphins aren't winning. I'm winning. Because the Dolphins are winning. My fantasy team is taking the lead against Alan Reinhart, and I get to tell him I beat him. Or vice versa. It connects the person to their team. And the first time somebody out there who's a fan of John Force is winning $50 because John Force won the final round, their head's going to explode. They're going to be like, this is the greatest thing ever. Or on the converse, you don't have a ticket to rip, but we've all been at the horse track when, it doesn't work out and you rip the ticket, you throw it in the air as is customary, and then you go have a beer and you sulk.
Then they disqualify the number 4 dog, and you're going, where are those 2 parts of my ticket?
Yeah, exactly. That is correct. That is absolutely correct. All right. Any final thoughts before we get on out of here and head on over to Richmond? We'll be headed to Norwalk next. Very exciting. Little Richmond, Norwalk back to back. And then the Western Swing starts, Alan. What has happened to the season?
Yeah, it's flying, isn't it? I'm actually looking forward to getting out of here because I've got, like I said, major construction going to be going on at my house while I'm gone for the next few weeks. So I'm Richmond, then Norwalk, then Lebanon Valley, then Woodburn, Oregon, then Seattle, then Sonoma, and hopefully I'll have a new house by the time I get home. So just looking forward to getting back after it. And it's been hot enough in Arizona that I don't believe that the heat is going to bother me all that much. Going down to Virginia, I'm just really, really glad that we're back. I've liked that track since it opened. I was fortunate. I went to an AMA Pro Star race. Actually went with Dave Despain hired me to do some television stuff 1,006 years ago. And I went to that race before NHRA went there for the first time with their nationals. I've always liked the place. I've always liked the neighborhood. I'm going to stay an extra day down there, a couple of extra days down there before I head to Ohio, because I really just like the Civil War aspect and some of the other things down in that part of the country. So it's a fun part of the country. It's a great racetrack. What the Franklin family has done since they've come in, investment-wise, and just the whole attitude of the staff-wise, to make sure that people come visit their racetrack, they enjoy themselves, they have a good time. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really grateful that we're going back there, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the 2-day pro format actually works out, because the theory obviously is great, and there's been a lot of time. Mike Rice has put a lot of time into working the schedule and making the things happen and putting it all together like it needs to be. But I think that anytime you do something like this, you're going to learn from it. There are going to be things that you go, yeah, didn't plan for that or didn't see that coming. So I think it's going to be a learning experience for everybody as well. But I'm looking forward to it. Come on 5 o'clock Thursday morning when my airplane goes woof and heads that way.
Very nice. Have you been to Appomattox Courthouse? We did Richmond, Bristol back to back a couple of years ago, obviously pre-pandemic. And I drove and I went to Appomattox Courthouse, where obviously General Lee surrendered to General Grant. The Civil War ended in this building, and they have it. It's on the location. It's been, I think, recreated exactly as it was. And they got the room and the chairs and everything. But there's a drive that you do where you can see the movements of the armies. Like they were pursuing, right? They were pursuing, and they did this whole flanking move and maneuver. And there's these little signs and everything. You can go and you can see the maneuver, and there's a museum and everything. It's a little bit out of the way. You got to go like 35 minutes from anything else. If you're a Civil War buff, and I know you're into it, very worthwhile, like seeing the spot where it ended. And General Lee came riding in on a white horse, and he got off the horse, and so-and-so said this and so-and-so said that, and he walked in and he surrendered his sword. And it's like, you get goosebumps thinking about the history. Like, this happened here. It's just amazing. So if you don't have a plan for your Civil War tour, I recommend you check that out, because it's very close by.
I will look into that. I've been to a couple of Civil War battlefields and been to a few of the museums and some of the stuff. And I'm fascinated by that part of the history and being in that part of the country. And again, it's a great part of the country. I really missed going there the years I haven't been there. So I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to spending a little extra time as well.
Going to be great. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thanks for helping out with these interviews. We're doing more interviews, right? But I think it's good for us to get to know these guys a little bit more. Not Jeg. We know him. Tony.
Way back. I mean, those of us who remember racing in 1990.
Yeah. I was a fan. I was a kid in 1990. My first year was 1991. High school track champion, baby.
I was racing junior drag shirts at 5 years old in the 1990s, and I'm sure Jag is going, oh, shut up.
Exactly. Well, he referenced the gray hair. It happens to the best of them. If it happens to Jeg, then it happens to the best of them, right? Like Jeg, he's the natural for a reason. All right, Alan, great job.
Thanks, Joe. See you soon.
There he goes. The voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, joins us each week right here on WFO Radio. And now is the time where I pitch you guys, all you guys out there watching this show for the very first time. If you're watching on X, they've been doing a great job of alerting people to the presence of a live stream. And that's how many people have found WFO Radio over the past few months. We've seen our numbers go up, and I appreciate that. So everybody out there who reposts on X, thank you very much. And if you've stuck around to this point, maybe you like the content, you like the racing, you like the interview, God forbid you like the hosts, like maybe that's part of it too. We encourage you to follow or subscribe or click the bell if you're watching on YouTube. Facebook, of course, we got a great question up on Facebook. I was just on there the other day. I'm really struggling with Facebook, honestly, because I just don't understand how to work it. Like, I've got a page and we've got like 15,000 wonderful followers, but engaging people on the Facebook is a challenge. Like what is the challenge? And so I did a nice question, and I would love for you to answer that question, which is, where was it? And this will also be, so it's a unified question, our YouTube comments section question of the week. Where was it that you watched your first ever drag race? It's a simple question. It's gotten great engagement on Facebook as I struggle to figure that, mystery out, right? Like what gets us to be seen by someone? Like, I don't know. Fortunately, everybody listens to the podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, but we're always trying to grow our audience. That's my big point. Where was it that you took in your first ever live drag race? Mine was at Miami Hollywood Speedway in Hollywood, Florida. I went there in one of those little plastic baby seats. My parents sat me on the bleachers, and I fell in love with drag racing, and I wanted to go there with my dad, and I loved it. Answer that in the comments section on YouTube and on our Facebook page. They'll all be together. Like I'm seeing Drag Race Mayhem says he's a Jersey guy. Of course, I should have guessed that. Adco, E-Town. We got all these Jersey folks. So sad that many of these tracks are not still going, which is unfortunate. But it is the circle of life, I guess. Flying H Motorsports Park is now alive, and there are new tracks hopefully popping up. And the tracks that we have, like Richmond, doing great. Worldwide Technology Raceway. My goodness, that track was saved. And it seems like, they're going to a big money bracket race, or Tyler Bohannon is promoting down there like every week. They had a big event last weekend, the one Jeggy was talking about, the one Stinnett raced in. And this coming weekend, they've got something going on. And okay, as long as we've got some reliable racetracks. I mean, I don't see myself going from Fort Lauderdale, Florida up there, driving past Orlando and Bradenton, but Bradenton Motorsports Park, Speed World Orlando, Gainesville Raceway. We've got these great tracks. We got to keep them alive. One more note, WFO merch on sale right now, $16 for a t-shirt. You can get Morris Motorsports. You can get the WFO radio logo. You get the fire t-shirts. Been a long time since we had jet cars. Am I wrong? Kind of been a minute since we had jet cars out there. They're trying to silence me. That's what it is. They're trying to silence me from saying fire. They don't want me to say fire. And the only way is to not have jet cars. But the Miami Hollywood Retro t-shirt is available for just $16 right now. And it has proven to be one of our more popular shirts. And also the 2 inches of asphalt shirt. It's kind of symbolism is also available right there. Want to remind everybody, Project Pontiac continues to roll on. I get no more question these days than, Joe, what's up with Project Pontiac? When are we going to see this thing on the track? And thanks to the folks at Edelbrock and Foggett and Total Seal and John Gadosh and everybody who has been Straub Technologies and Morel Lifters and everybody who has been so helpful along the way. More people being added all the time. I got to pick up my trailer at Right Trailers at some point. It's almost time to start moving the car, if you get my point. We're getting close to me actually having to do stuff. But I want to tell you about Marvin Rodak, rodakscoffeeandgrills.com. Before we get to your final thoughts, I would love for you to put them in the chat section as we get ready to go racing once again in Richmond. If you're anywhere near the race, you should come on out. You should be a part of it. It's going to be historic in a way. The first 3 qualifying sessions in one day on a Saturday. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be different. And, maybe a roadmap to a different style event that we could have in different areas, different tracks, as a track that's maybe a little smaller or get some growing pains. We'll see. But Marvin Rodak, 817-924-6821. I'm going to say that number again. If you love coffee, what am I saying? Trust me, it's great. Trust me, it's great. 817-924-6821. This is like the microbrew of coffee. He gets small batches from the best plantations, which is where coffee is grown, from around the world. And he has the beans and he roasts them when you order them, which means you're going to get the freshest coffee you're ever going to have if you order from Marvin Rodak's. And from all around the world, Jamaica, the Dominican, India, Africa, they've got the Kopi Luwak, which is processed by the civet, like amazing coffee at Marvin Rodax. And he's been a sponsor for over 10 years. 817-924-6821. For those of you new to the show, we keep our sponsors because we work so hard for them. And the WFO universe supports them. Like Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Look, you're a race fan. You're in the stands. You're watching the cars. Are you going to buy a car? Are you going to go drag race for the rest of your life? Probably not. Wouldn't it be great if there was a way you could sample the experience like in a day without begging someone to trust you with their car? There is a way. And it's called the Dragster Adventure. FrankHawley.com, one of the greatest drivers in the history of NHRA, is his school, but he knows that there are some people, man, they just want to drive a dragster a couple of times to get the feeling, the vibe. And that's what the Dragster Adventure is. So go to FrankHawley.com, find out more. It makes a great gift. You and your fiance, like you and your mom. Here, happy Mother's Day, Mom. We're going to drive dragsters together. It works. It works. FrankHawley.com. Trust me. And then samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, the next generation of engine builders, and our great friends at Foggett, of course, and Bernie Speed Shop, and CWT Industries, and FTI Performance. Reinhart got me. I was like making a joke about Paul. He's like, Paul will just sell him the clutches. It's like, that's a good point. Phillips Connect and Total Seal Piston Rings. All the people who are supporting WFO Radio and make it possible for us to do our shows. It is great. All right, let's get your final comments in the comment section. Like, what do you think of Tony Wilson? Kind of proud of myself. That bad 55, man. I remember seeing Charles Carpenter, and I got to know Charles pretty recently, a couple of years ago, and he's a great guy, and Mike is awesome, and I would never tell anybody what to do, like, or how to administer the rules. But when you do a show like this, your point is to give opinions. Give them whatever weight break it takes them to be competitive, and then back it up. We need more of these cars. We need more of these cars. This is what the fans, they want to see all kinds of stuff. Like, I'm not saying the 69 Camaros are boring. That's not what I'm saying at all. I love them, but there's a lot of them. Variety is the spice of life. And I just made that up, and you can use it. We need to see more cars like this. We need to see this car go some rounds and then pile on the weight. All right. You guys have, you're outrunning the field now. We're going to put some weight on you. Like, that's how you got to incentivize people. They'll tell you, you have to be incentivized to do something different, to break with the crowd, to go in a different direction. You have to be incentivized. And so what's the incentive right now? Well, the incentive is you're going to be a fan favorite. There's a high likelihood you're going to get invited on WFO Radio. That's why Tony got invited on. Like, why should there's a bunch of people we can invite on the show. But in this case, I'm just using it to prove a point. We need more of this because it's wicked. It's wicked. They put it in the wind tunnel. We learned a lot. Let's incentivize the next wave of CongruityHR Pro modified chassis to be more like this than the, what is dominating right now. Not that that's bad. It's not bad. It's great. But let's incentivize something a little different by giving them a bit of a weight break. Something they could do overnight. Just my take. Let's see what you guys have to say out there before we bust out. And this is the final show of the week, guys, so share it. That was a little forceful. My apologies. Let's see. This guy asked a really good question. Like, how does mold live in Tucson? I didn't get to ask Alan Reinhart that. But it's a good note. Like, really? Mold? What's up with that? Mold. Everybody loved Tony's car. That's cool. Great looking car. They all loved it. Right? Rightfully so. Rightfully so. And CongruityHR Pro Mod is doing a great job. Like, I was very impressed by the whole deal. Tony German, I'm all for a 5-day race weekend. Well, of course, right? Like, if you are, you love drag racing, you get a chance to go to all the days. Me and my dad learned that years ago at the Gator Nationals. The first year we drove up on Friday and went Saturday and Sunday. And then it was like, oh, we should go on Friday. And then we went Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then we're like, oh, we should go on Thursday. And then we started getting there Wednesday night and going Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the last, 10, 15 years of him coming to the race with me. Now he watches on NHRA TV, but there's so much to see. You can't see it all. There's so much to see. Now, if I lament any one thing, Alan Reinhart mentioned it. I think that if I'm advising a fan when to come to the track, a lot of people will say, go on Saturday because qualifying, you can see every car go down the racetrack. I do not advise that. I advise something different. I advise you go on Sunday. You got to go see the race. You would never tell a NASCAR fan to go watch qualifying. You would never tell a football fan to go watch practice. You would never tell a Formula One fan to only go watch qualifying. You would never do that. You want to see competition. Cars going down the racetrack is cool. Look how cool they are. They go down the racetrack. But it's not the same as competition. Competition is the most important and the best show we have. They're not going to lift. Now you see less runs, right? Ultimately. But you get to see someone win the race. You get to see the national anthem. You get to understand that this isn't just machines going down a track, that there is competitive consequence. You lose, you go home. And I always wish, like I Saturday is the biggest day. It always is, but it shouldn't be. Sunday should be the biggest day because it's race day. It's not qualifying. The qualifying is fine, but if qualifying rains out, we're still having a race. Race day is what it's all about. Let's see. Dugenay Bland, not Bland. Being born and raised in Washington, D.C., you will love the Smithsonian. So much new stuff down there. A great trip if you have never been. JR, in his quotes, had never been to the Smithsonian. He's going the next a couple of days. He's either Thursday or Friday. Watch the social media to go check out the Smithsonian Institute. You know, the spirit of St. Louis is in there. If you like history at all, if you have any like pride of being an American, there's a lot of people, they don't think about it like that. You know, they go to work, they go home, they're not thinking about it in those terms, and that's their right to do so. But man, if you feel that feeling about like, man, our country and its history and how we got here and people taking crazy risks and, you know, rockets, and the Smithsonian museums are amazing and really everybody should go. DC is great. Dugenay, as you know, I lived there for all my XM times. Let's see. I built Pro Mod and Pro Stock cars. Where is Joe going to take pounds off of Pro Mod car? Well, he agreed with it. You know, like that's going to be expensive, but he agreed with my statement. You know, not a nitrous car. Ricky has explained why the nitrous cars are so. Can they find 50 pounds? I think they can. You mean we weren't supposed to be doing that along the fences gambling? Oh, yeah, watch all that money exchange. Miami Hollywood, man, the gambling section was amazing. I remember sitting in the stands at Englishtown and the guys in the stands gambling on every run down the track, right lane, left lane. I don't like gambling against other people. Like, I'll bet you, I'm taking your money. You were wrong, and I'm right, and I'm taking your money. And like, that's a little cringe for me. I don't like it. That's why I like blackjack is my game. I don't play poker because I don't want to take your hard-earned money, man. If we're hanging out, I probably like you. Like taking your money, it's not my thing. I'll take the big casinos' money, though. But the problem is they typically take mine. Are the odds out for the race? Yeah, we already went over the odds. Gage going undefeated. That's a prop bet. He's only 4 races into this deal. But can you imagine? The talk hasn't started yet. Not yet. Breaking out the Yeti cooler for the weekend. You could, dunk your head in there. Let's see what else. This guy loves pro stock. See Dallas Glenn in the winner's circle. Western Swing coming up already. Yeah. Just like that, we're going to be in Seattle. A couple weeks. Can you believe it? Blake says, God willing, I will see you in Vegas. Yeah, I hope to see you there. Vegas, one of my favorite tracks, one of my favorite races. Vegas, too. I tell people, I just had to tell someone, it was like, I'm going to go to one race that I've never been to. Which should I go to? I was like, oh, my God, which tracks have you been to? And they're like, told me the tracks. And I was like, you got to go to Pomona. You got to go to the finals. That's the one. You got to go to the finals. You got to see Pomona. You got to see the finals. If you're really a hardcore drag racing fan, if you really love this stuff, you really love the history and the facilities and the tracks, you know, you got to see Pomona. It's got to be like really short on the list. Gainesville, Indy, Pomona. Like, you got to see those. They're mandatory. And then, you know, you can, after you've seen them, you decide. When you take the win away, like last race, gambling will be blamed. No, it won't. Horses get scratched all the time. Things happen all the time. I don't know what I think the casino would just pay it out. Like, once it's paid. Or maybe we just experienced the result of gambling being a thing. Boom, problem. So you're immediate. What? Immediate. Pulled it back. There's probably an arrangement before, like, the time. The payout doesn't happen when the win light comes on. They clear tech. And once they clear tech, then payouts will probably happen. And this is over my head. I don't know. But gambling will not be blamed. Horses get DQ'd. Things get DQ'd all the time in gambling. If nothing else, they just make it a push. Looking forward to being in Virginia. Stay hydrated, everyone. Yes, guys, please. I'm already planning my hydration. Joe and Alan, thanks for helping to get us to get to know these guys better. Yeah, Tony was awesome. Great show. Joe, thank you. Like the fact you're building the whole sport. Well, we all should be. We all should be. The sport is amazing, and it's not just the nitro cars. Love the nitro cars. But we saw, why do you think Pro Stock is back at every race? Because the fans wanted it. If the fans didn't care about Pro Stock, they wouldn't be back at every race. The races that didn't have Pro Stock were suffering. Just enough, right? Which is something we always said. A lot of people didn't believe it. My first live event was at Englishtown. So many people. Makes sense, though. The densest population of states. Lions drag strip. That Lions Museum is amazing. If you haven't been, you got to go. Joe, the checkered flag letting you know who won is awesome. At Flying H Motorsports Park, yeah, they got cool scoreboards over there. They do. They like the win light is a checkered flag. I love the fact. I'm a big believer in modern scoreboards. Beach Bend, first place. Green Valley, Race City. Scott loved the Ignition podcast. The Ignition podcast was awesome. You will hear something that may offend you. It might offend you. Might become offended in the first 20 minutes, like the 23-minute mark. Just saying. Or maybe not. Wasn't anything I said. I remember Wide World of Sports and having to catch the drags during crashes in NASCAR and when they cleaned up the crash. Way to go, Henry. Yeah, no, those were the days. 3 networks. There was a knob. It's crazy. I got sucked into a conversation on one of the NHRA Facebook groups, and everyone was complaining that you can't watch NHRA for free anymore. And someone said, well, no, you can watch it on Fox Sports 1. It's like, no, I have to pay for cable. And so someone said NHRA TV, you can watch a lot of races for free. And the person said, no, I have to pay for the internet. And so it was obviously a tough deal because the person, internet was a budget restriction, etc. But to watch the TV back then, you had to buy a TV and you had to pay for electricity. Like, it wasn't free. You had to have a TV. TV cost money, and you had to have electricity to make the TV work. That you're paying for that. But I think that once you've got your internet access, and this person was on the internet because he was on Facebook, you got more free drag racing than you've ever had before. You can watch the timing and scoring on NHRA.com for free. You can watch all the different teams post about what's going on for free, as long as you get on the social. And NHRA.TV this weekend had all kinds of stuff for free. Tony Wilson was one of the hardest working, most talented guys out there. Loves Tony. First time in Sonoma. Sonoma, great race. Can't wait to be there. I can't find where to use Play NHRA. Do they have partners with established sports books? Sorry, joined late today. Yes, they do. You go to the website and dig up the story about Play NHRA, and they have a website that's like Next Bets or so, and click the link, and that will show you what's legal in your area is what happens. But really, there's a QR code that they'll be putting on the screen all weekend long, and you scan the QR code, and it will tell you what's legal in your area. Like here in Florida, we only have one thing that is legal, and it's a fantasy game. We cannot place wagers yet. We're hoping that Hard Rock Bets gets it. That doesn't matter for me, though. I have, as a contractor of NHRA, it's not death, but it's career death. It's a career death penalty if I were to place any kind of a wager on the NHRA, and it's definitely not worth it in any way to do anything like that. So, we had to go through a course. We had to sign things. There's nothing like feeling your body, the feeling going down the racetrack, certainly. Rich Kirk, thanks for another great live stream show. Thank you so much, Richard. Thanks for watching. Please share. Latoya, what's up with the Pontiac? Exactly. Everybody wants to know. Tractor Museum in Columbia Heights. All museums, your kid, your parents want to bring you to a museum. You hate it. You become old. Suddenly museums are like, oh, interesting. There's a train museum up by Reading that I thought was one of the best things I ever saw. They got all those like 1920s, 30s Art Deco style old school trains, like the first electric trains. Man, really neat. Full size. You can climb all over them. Where is it? I have no clue. First time I went to Reading, I just started driving right, left. Avoid the, the buggy. What's this? Train museum. Amazing. Will there be an option for a side bet? Like number of red lights, oil downs. Lonnie, I think eventually, but not right away. Like, let's get everybody figured out on the factual, like, win-lose wagers. Is NHRA going to fly NH next year as planned, or is it being pushed back again? Like, unknown, not known. Like, see, Drag Race Mayhem. The context of your question is so negative. How can we know at this moment? Is it being pushed back again? Like, just be okay with not knowing. Just be okay with not knowing. They just had their first race. There were growing pains, things that need to be alleviated, more paving in the pits. It's coming. Is it going to be next year? I don't know. I don't know what their budget is. I don't know how much money they have to invest in this project. But it's coming. You should be happy. Ignition got a little crazy. National Trail, then Miami Hollywood. Way to go, Jim. Miami Hollywood was the best. I'll put it toe-to-toe with any racetrack that has ever existed. And you know who's got my back? Daryl Gwynn and Hector Arana and Chris Cunningham. Craziness and fun and, kite cycles and jumping. And would you like your car to be one of the cars that gets jumped by the school bus? Please report to the timing tower. Like, Dad, can we put our car under the school bus? No, Joe, we cannot. Ferrari red for Le Mans. Yeah, Ferrari, a tremendous victory. They won Le Mans and the Grand Prix of Monaco. It's first time in like 100 years. Miami Hollywood was the first place I raced Class 66 Chevelle for me driving it there from Ohio to a stock eliminator car than super stock. Way to go, Jim. These 10 minutes from VMP off 95. Yeah, I'm headed that way tomorrow or Thursday. Remember, we like that. We like vets at all kinds of sales events, red lights, lengths of national anthem, and so on. Yeah, the prop bets, the length of the anthem, right? When we get to that point, that means that's a good thing. Because people got to be willing to wager. That's the thing, guys. Why wasn't Galat on NHRA or YouTube this week? Well, because there's discrimination against the Southeastern Division, is what it is. This is a second race that was not broadcast on NHRA TV, and the Southeastern Division was, clear discrimination against Division 2. No, there were 3 events going on. You had the Junior Dragster Conference Finals going on at the Texas Motorplex. You had Flying H Motorsports Park, the first ever race there. So you can see that both of those were of significant import. And then the third race was the Nostalgia, the Wally Parks Heritage Series in Beach Bend, which Brian Loans was on the call. And those were Nitro cars and Heritage Series. And so that got on there. And that's 3 broadcasts at the same time on NHRA TV for free. If you're I think those were free broadcasts too. I don't think you had to be a member to get those. And so unfortunately, Galat was the odd man out, but that's the second time this year. Miami never had Benny the Bomb. Yeah, we did. What you talking about? We had Benny the Bomb. We had the guy on the skid plate. Loans knows all those guys. Loans with Bang Shift has written stories about all of those crazy guys. And Captain Jack on the rocket cart and slamming Sammy Miller, the Vanishing Point. I saw the Vanishing Point in the early 80s. I witnessed rocket cars at Miami Hollywood. Like every show that existed came through Miami Hollywood Speedway. Everyone. That's the thing. The Wild Bunch, Pro Mod, like we saw them first. Miami Hollywood Speedway was that kind of place. And like Daryl has said, and he's right about it, in California, you had a whole bunch of tracks. You had many. So they were all competing against each other. In Miami, you only had one. So there was no competition. You had one super mega track. Yeah. Jerry Gwynn dragging the guy behind Baby Huey. And the guy's like, give it to me this time. Give it. And Jerry's like, all right, we'll find out. You know, you're about to find out. And he found out. Guy blowing himself up in a box. We had that. We had, hang glider guy. We had it all. If you want to see something cool, go into the WFO Radio YouTube channel and search our happy hour shows that we did during the pandemic. There are a couple that are great. The Ron Tobler Wine Night one was great. It's evergreen. It'll live forever. You will like it. I promise you. But we also did a Miami Hollywood Speedway reunion. Hector Arana, first runs, Miami Hollywood Speedway. Chris Cunningham, Daryl Gwynn, everybody throwing back. And Paul Wunderlich, who ran the place. He was the staging lane's manager. He is now deceased. And he was like remembering different things. And that's where I got my start. And by the way, this tree is the starting line tree for Miami Hollywood Speedway. A lot of people don't realize. They think that's a tree that I got from some. That is the tree. Recently, there was a Mellow Yellow commercial with Big Daddy and Bill Jenkins floating around. Competition Plus posted it. And this tree is in the commercial. Yeah, pretty amazing. Jim got many friends from there. I don't know how we got on this. I think it was all really just my subliminal message to get you to go buy the t-shirt. That's just $16 right now. Miami Hollywood Speedway, retro gear, $16. T-Public, the link is in the chat section. It's the first thing that you see when the show starts. So go get yourself a Miami Hollywood Speedway shirt, and then you can rep. Here, I'll put it up in the chat section right now. And then everybody gets this shirt. Send. And there it is. All right, guys. I'll see you in Richmond. Shout out WFO. Let's get together. Got a lot of people driving a long way to get there. We're going to have a good time. I'm super excited to go back to Richmond. Tommy Franklin has put so much into this track. There's no reason. Yes, thank you, Henry. I was feeling it. Well, after meeting Hulk Hogan the other day, I had to get a little flex in, right? The Hulk, he taught me that. All right, guys, have a great week. See you in Richmond, WFO.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to WatchPTTV.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.